We're focusing on money, stocks, the economy, and assets tonight, including gold and silver. With inflation running so high the past few years, it's become even more important to know just exactly where you stand. There's a lot of hope in the air that the former president and former businessman Donald Trump will be able to turn some things around. He plans to increase American energy, reduce inflation, add tariffs if necessary, if it helps make the U.S. more competitive globally, and he wants far fewer regulations, all of which should contribute to a robust consumer confidence. But it's still going to take some time to turn the ship around. We have two guests tonight. The first, our regular money man, the chairman of Annandale Capital, George Seay. George, welcome back. It's great to have you, and I want to get into it by asking, what is the reaction to Donald Trump's election? It seems to be that there is quite a bit of, let's just say, optimism going on in the stock market, optimism in the overall economy.
Good evening and congratulations on your nomination. I just couldn't be more thrilled about that as the chairman of the Texas-Israel Alliance, which is totally focused on trying to increase business between Texas and Israel. So we got a lot to talk about that. So, Governor, I think it's about equal parts euphoria and relief. I think the people that have suffered through with the former president, the president-elect over the last 4 years and all the abuse and all the falsehoods and everything, I think there's a lot of euphoria in a very emotional way, in a very anticipatory way of all he's going to be able to do and change as he gets in office. But I think the normal American who's moderate or conservative, it's more of a relief that what the alternative was so bad that we've been liberated from what that alternative was going to be. And I think there's a sense of calm in the country now after there wasn't this outbreak of violence or protest that everyone was predicting, and it was actually received pretty well, that we might actually get a fresh start, and let's hope so. We need one.
I know the left tried. Yeah, we really do. And George, the left tried to pretend that the victory wasn't all that significant, but it was incredible. I mean, he wins the popular vote. He wins all 7 of the swing states. Nobody even thought that was possible. And then the most, I think, maybe astonishing piece of information came that Kamala Harris did not flip one single county in the entire United States. That's never happened before. Not even in 1984 when Ronald Reagan won in a landslide. There's never been a presidential election to date where a candidate failed to flip any county in the entire United States. I mean, that's just stunning. So we've seen a pretty remarkable statement of the American people. But let's talk about how does that relate to what will take place in business. Internationally, we've already seen leaders coming to Mar-a-Lago to sit down with President Trump. He's not even sworn in yet, and he's already having a dramatic impact upon the way leaders across the world think. Are you surprised by just how quickly things have turned and how people are just begging to come see Donald Trump and get his blessing as if he's the Pope or something? Not all that glitters is gold. You've heard that old expression before, and it's true. There are a lot of things that glitter, and they're not gold. Why do we even say that? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because gold really does have value. A lot of things, it's just show. But gold, well, it holds its value no matter what happens to the dollar, what happens in inflation. Gold has real value. Always has, always will. It's why I buy gold and silver from the good folks at American Hartford Gold. They're the one and only precious metals company that I buy from, that I recommend, and that I trust. I hope you'll call American Hartford Gold or text them and request a free no-strings-attached gold and silver information kit. When you do that, you can learn how to protect your own nest egg with a tax-advantaged gold IRA. And if you call now, you can get up to $15,000 of free silver on qualifying purchases. Call them at 844-417-1010 or text Mike to 998899 for a free information kit from American Hartford Gold.
Governor, if you look at the MSCI, which is the index that reflects the total value of the global stocks around the world, the United States has about 3.5 to 4% of the global population. So we're not quite a rounding error in terms of global population, but we're pretty close. We're within the margin of error, so to speak. And the market capitalization of U.S. companies in that MSCI is 61 plus percent. So we're punching above our weight 15x. So if I were those global leaders, I would be racing down to Mar-a-Lago as well, because the soft power, the economic power that the American president controls is extraordinary. It's the largest in history. And I'd start with your portfolio and say, with the Hezbollah ceasefire, which I hope is sustainable, that Israel's economy needs a massive focus on by the U.S. And if I were the EU, I would be terrified that their trade terms with us are going to go dramatically downhill with how hostile they've been to us from an economic perspective for many years now. And if I was the UK, even with the Labour government, I would be lining up really fast to get an FTA with the president, who indicated that's what he wanted in his first term. And if I'm Asia, it's basically the rest of Asia and us versus China. So that's going to be a really delicate dynamic that China is holding basically a queen high hand to play. I think we are really in a strong position vis-a-vis them, and we ought to play accordingly.
George, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be heading up a Department of Government Efficiency, which government efficiency sounds like an oxymoron to me. But how challenging is it for them to take on the massive and bloated bureaucracy of government, and do they have a shot at making a dent in it?
Musk, I've never met the gentleman before. I'm thrilled he's a Texan now, but he almost strikes me as a science fiction hero in a movie or a cartoon character. All the stuff he does, whether it's SpaceX or the Boring Company or Tesla and so forth and so on. It's Buck Rogers in real life. And as you know better than I, no one has successfully cut the government in a significant way in the history of this country. And I actually had a relative who ran the Department of Defense who knew how to cut a budget better than anyone I've ever seen. And I think he walked away pretty frustrated by how the DoD procurement process and the way they spend money, it's almost an untainable blob. It's like this giant blob of money that you can't restrict in any sustainable fashion. But I will tell you, this is the thing I'm most excited about the new administration. I think even the attempt to slash spending, which it needs to be done. And also, I really think we should seriously this time look at eliminating the Department of Education and the Department of Energy and the Department of Commerce, Rick Perry's three favorite agencies. And also, the president said he wasn't going to touch entitlements. We all know that if they want to get anywhere near their $2 trillion goal of cutting, you have to attack entitlements as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm delighted he asked them to do that. That's my favorite thing so far.
I'm kind of with you, George. I think if anybody can pull this off, it's Elon Musk. When I saw that rocket land back on the pad, I thought it was an AI generated video until I realized, no, that's real. And I said, anyone who can do that, I don't think there's anything he can't do. So I think you are spot on. George, thanks for joining us. It is great to have you back, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Personal safety has become a major concern. So wouldn't it be helpful to have a new and easy way to protect you and your loved ones? Well, one way to stop the threat without having to shoot and possibly kill someone is available. Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee, and I found exactly how to have full protection without lethal force. It looks like a gun, acts like a gun, but it shoots chemical irritants and kinetic rounds, not actual bullets. The name is Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. Now imagine being able to protect yourself without the legal or moral concerns of carrying an actual firearm. The Byrna is legal in all 50 states. No background checks are required, and it can be shipped directly to your doorstep. Most importantly, it's built to immediately stop an attacker without taking a life. The peace of mind you have is free. It's easy to use and doesn't have the strong recoil that real guns have, and you don't need ear protection either. It's assembled by hand right here in the U.S., fully trusted by law enforcement, and oftentimes it only needs to be shown and not fired to turn an attacker away. Don't wait until something happens. Go to Byrna.com/Huckabee. Learn more about this effective alternative to deadly force. 500,000 out there are already in use. Right now, you'll get a special 10% discount as well. That's Byrna, Byrna.com/Huckabee. Don't feel vulnerable any longer.